I check this video out from Saint Tontas. Again, dude makes great content. Really always, well, most of the time, well, always actually. I don't think I've watched a video that I haven't really enjoyed, and I just find actually really informative as well. The male character situation is sad. Saint Tontas growing as well. I like to see it. Let's check out what he's got to say.
Wuthering Waves is a game that seems to be doing everything right. Constant communication from the developer.
I won't go that far. They're doing majority of things right, but let's not get it twisted. They're not doing everything right.
Amazing quality of life updates and absurd marketing and promotional materials for.
One thing I will say, weakest part of Kuro is the marketing. Now, I'm not going to deny they are getting much, much better. The 1.3 information that we've got, the drip marketing, the characters, they are doing a lot better in that regard. We're getting a live stream on Friday as well. All amazing, but I definitely do think this is still Kuro's weakest point in the company, like in general.
Their most highly anticipated releases. There is no doubt at all that the hype for versions 1.3 and 1.4 are at some of their highest levels yet. And
yeah,
with
it's
the
probably
recently
true.
Released teasers and just announced live stream on the Black Shores update, it's clear that
I said this the other day. I think this live stream is going to be massive because Hoyo do this really well. Now, I know Hoyo reach out to more people, but I think the live stream format is really good because not only is it like showing off this content, which you can do on Twitch, which you can do on, which you can do on Twitter, which you can do on a YouTube video, which you can do on posts on Twitter, whatever, you know, little trailers. But a live stream, it kind of brings everyone together in a sense. I know a lot of people are watching after the fact, but there's that community aspect of people being there and the discussion goes on in the chat and everybody's vibing off everybody, and it's that kind of I was there moment a little bit. And I think that just resonates a lot more within the community, and it builds much more hype than just a Twitter post or a video on YouTube. I think it does what they do and much more, and I'm glad that we're going back to the live streams, and hopefully we start to see these become more of a regular occurrence. I wonder if it's now that they've just got a little bit more time to do it, or they feel that the content now, they're in a space where they can do that. I don't know. Or they've just left it long enough after the embarrassment, which was the very first live stream. They're like, you know, if we leave it long enough, nobody will remember that. Maybe that's what it is as well.
Kuro's making some big moves following the filler patch that was version 1.2. There's a lot to look forward to from the release of Shorekeeper all the way to Camellia, along with all of those unique and new 4-star
back-to-back banger banners. Let's go.
Characters in between. However, there's one topic that's been gaining more and more traction across the community, and that's the number, or well, lack of number of playable male characters in this game. With male-focused games like Love and Deep Space garnering tens of millions of dollars in sales in recent months,
is that the deal with Love and Deep Space? It's kind of mainly male characters. Hey, there's a niche within the space. You know what? It's obviously worked for him.
It's clear that the market is there. Unfortunately, the males in Wuthering Waves are not. When you compare this to the number of female releases, you can easily see the disparity. Gender ratios have to be one of the most sensitive areas of discussion across any gacha player base. There are some games that got bullied by their.
I don't know if they're necessarily that sensitive. Like, I think it's plain and clear for the most part, female banners just do better, don't they? Now, I'm not saying there isn't male banners that will kill it. I think we saw that with the Jian and Yinlin banner, didn't we? That we saw that Yinlin did a lot better. Now, maybe people just didn't really get how good Jian was. Potentially, I've seen a lot of people post the Jian banner of like, I wish I pulled on Jian. He's a great character. He's definitely Unga Bunga, but I think he's a great character to have to your account. I think when it comes to the male characters, because at the end of the day, majority of the audience, anecdotally, I'm going off here, is male, you know. Is young dudes between the ages of probably, when it comes to gacha games, you're probably talking like most of the audience is probably adults, 18 to like 35s, mid-30s, people who've got money to spend on the games as well. So I definitely do think, you know, you've got to look at the female roster and make sure that it's strong. But I do think, yeah, I do think we could do with, again, really looking forward to Scar. Out of my 3 most hyped characters is in there. So I'm here for the male characters as well. Don't get me wrong, I'm all about the waifus, but I'm here for some Giga Chads.
Their player bases to the point of removing male characters from their development roadmap or completely from the game altogether. When players vote with their wallets and you've cultivated a player base that acts irrationally, that can lead to some disastrous results, as we saw with Honkai Impact 3rd. Kuro Games, fortunately enough, is a developer that we know actively listens to player feedback.
This is true, yeah.
And when they do, they implement reasonable systems that make the game better as a whole. Unfortunately though, the road to more playable male characters is filled with obstacles ranging from development and story roadmaps, all the way to the actual doxing of players and developers. It's a situation.
Okay, people who do that stuff are just crazy mental cases. I think you've also not just got to take into the story and all that sort of, you've got to look at the revenue as well, you know, development time costs, ROI, and you know, I guess we'll see with other male characters that come on the banners and how well they do, and that'll be the thing that dictates whether or not we get more male characters. Really, at the end of the day, I think if we want more male characters, people have got to be making sure they're pulling on those banners, otherwise we won't get them.
Situation that'll take a bit of time to fix. Today we'll be diving into why this is the case, breaking down how Wuthering Waves' roster has developed into 1.4, why we shouldn't expect too many male characters for at least the next few versions, and how some obstacles created by the most deranged part of the player base might have contributed to this overall situation. As always, if you're enjoying this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. With drip marketing until version 1.4 officially confirmed, we know that Shorekeeper, Yoo-Hoo, Camellia, and Lumi will be joining the cast. When you factor in every single new character added to the game since 1.0, that brings up the grand total when it comes to genders at 7 females and 1 male. That one male character was also completely free. That's quite a difference. When you also realize that we're still in the middle of version 1.2 and these are the confirmed characters for the next few months, there isn't a particularly huge amount to look forward to if a gender plays a role in your pulling decision. It could be easy to say that Kuro simply doesn't care about female players or those who want to play men.
I was going to say, I don't think... Well, I don't know, maybe I'm in the minority here. I don't think you necessarily have to be a girl to want male characters. I don't, for me, anyway, at least I know I'm talking about my own experience here. But if a character looks cool, I want the character. Now, don't get me wrong, there's that separate factor, especially in these sort of games, waifu games at the end of the day, of being a male and being straight, that there's that, the attraction meta, isn't that, you know, of like, this character looks freaking sexy as fuck, I want to pull it, look at the titties, you know, there's no denying that's there. But at the same time, like, 2 of the characters that I wanted to make sure I got at the start of this game was Gian and Calcharo, because they looked cool as fuck. You got Dollar Store Sephiroth, and you got this green-haired dude who fucking calls out dragons. It's like, that's badass. That is badass. I think it's all about, like, you know, what the characters are like as well. Again, Scar, awesome character. Then the other male characters in the game, you know. But one thing I will say about the male characters in this game, at least they're like men. You know, they're not like these really, like, fruity, twinky kind of characters that you get in the other games, like Genshin specifically. No, I'm not saying there isn't, like, more masculine type characters, but a lot of the characters are kind of like, you know, not really for me, but... I guess it is what it is. I suppose they're going to go off their audience and what they're expecting to earn, and that's going to play a massive factor into it as well, at the end of the day. I guess we'll see with the Scar banner. I think the Scar banner might not be the best metric to go off, though, because I feel like Scar's just so hyped because of how well he was done. And I suppose that's what they've got to do. If they're going to have more male characters, there's got to be a lot of time spent in making them freaking sick, you know what I mean?
People have been requesting extremely popular characters like Geshu Lin and Scar for months.
True, Geshu Lin as well.
One look at Camellia's drip marketing on social media is only further confirmation of that. However, it isn't that simple. Kuro Games is a developer that cares about their limited characters' integration into the story and understands how that impacts their revenue. That's why characters like Shorekeeper and Camellia, released several months after the launch of the game, were featured prominently in the version 1.0 launch trailer. You can see Shorekeeper's butterflies everywhere. And remember, this was at the launch of the game in late May. Out of all the limited characters we've seen released, Jeja is the only one who wasn't featured in this launch trailer. filler, and she'll likely be our lowest revenue banner for the foreseeable future. Every other character, including Shang-Li Yao, was hinted at very early on in the game's lifecycle.
This is all true,
what we need
actually.
to understand as players is that developing these characters...
It gets that connection with a character as well, doesn't it? Which at the end of the day, this is one thing that I was talking about before. You want a good story to a gacha game, but you've got to have great character stories. Because, of course, you're going to get attracted by the meta of the character, the look of the character, but having that, like, connection with the story of the character is incredibly important as well, isn't it?
Likely takes a significant amount of time. There is an incredible amount of care and polish put into every single one of Wuthering Waves' characters.
There is,
unique animations on every
None
attack,
of them feel like they just threw out there, do they?
Or plunge,
even Jiang Liao when he was free.
Supplementary animations like intro skills or their unique Conbean animations. To put it simply, there's a lot more work put into
and it's taken into account other things as well, just like their idle animations and stuff like that. There's a lot of time and effort put into each individual character in this game. All of them. You know, the 4 stars, they get all of the love. You never feel like, don't get me wrong, obviously some characters are better than others, but I don't ever feel like, even when you're using a 4-star, that this character didn't get the love in regards to its design and its animations and all that sort of stuff.
To a Wuthering Waves character than characters you might find in other gacha games like Genshin Impact or Honkai Star Rail. Blending together amazing aesthetic design, satisfying combat feel, and unique animations for every single character means that Kuro might have to start work on them a lot earlier. Characters teased in version 1.0 still aren't here yet.
Hey, outside of Camellia, those two, can't wait to get those 2 characters. I better get those 2 characters, man, I'm telling you.
A huge portion of that is likely due to their involvement far later in the story, like with Fraxidus. Releasing limited male characters with low story preparation or involvement can be a risky move.
True.
And we've seen what happens in games like Honkai Star Rail and characters like Argenti. With knowledge that Jian didn't have the highest sales, especially compared to Yinlin, and the historically low performance of male characters in Punishing Grey Raven, this was likely a big reason for why Shang-Li Yao was given out for free. For characters like Geshu-Lin and Scar, the hype is undeniably real, but with the next 2 patches...
Yeah, I agree, those 2 are hyped, because a lot of people are hyped about Geshu-Lin. Now, don't get me wrong, I want to pull for him, but, like, Scar just tops it for me, like peak male character in this game. Like, I really like Jian, but, like, I just think it was more, the VA sold it for me. The VA absolutely killed it with his performance for Scar. Like, standout performance in the entire game. I think that's why I'm so sold on him.
Patches focused on the Black Shores and its development, it's understandable that it isn't their time yet. Remember that Kuro was cooking the releases of Shorekeeper and Camellia since the launch of the game. And that just means they're going for a slower burn with Scar and Geshu-Lin.
That's why it should be as well, because you also want the banner to drop with the story beat, don't you? It's kind of weird if there's a massive story beat on a character and then the banner comes later, or the banner drops and then the character really doesn't get hyped up until, like, potentially months later. You want it to come at the same, you want that to build up, don't you? So everybody's like, dude, this character's insane, and then the banner's there, and he's like, I've got to pull on this character, man. It needs to be in my roster.
Map is one of the biggest factors in play here when it comes to the delayed release of male characters. But there is another potential obstacle in play, and that's the deranged parts of the Wuthering Waves community. Every community has its share of bad apples, and according to some personal accounts from CN players, shared by the Twitter user Nito, the CN community might have some problems when it comes to male characters.
Okay.
These problems are extensive, ranging from public bad-mouthing of female players and male characters on public channels, abuse of specific characters from PGR like Chrome and Lee, as well as actual doxing of male character supporters, leading to the reveal of their personal information and...
Okay, that's just all weird. One thing, which I hope, I've said this before, of course you need China to be spending on your game to do well, but what we've seen so far, it's still a big player base and a big spender for the game, and at the minute it is the largest spender base. But this is why I want to see Kuro level out a little bit more, even if it means they don't have the highs that Hoyo have. I'd rather us see, obviously I want Kuro to be getting enough money for Kuro to succeed, but I'd rather us have a lot lower numbers and China spending much less, but it be balanced. You know, the regions are kind of spending similar, so they don't have to listen to some of the crazy stuff that comes out of China sometimes. Now, I'm not saying there isn't plenty of crazy stuff that comes out the West. I'm not saying that at all. But I just feel like if each region is a little bit more equally represented, then I think it's just better for the global audience then, isn't it? We're all going to get our like piece of the pie, so to speak, rather than one specific region getting catered to more than every other region.
Harassment that extended into their offline lives as well. These deranged individuals even went so far as to dox Kuro employees themselves, likely the ones who were contributing to the release of male characters. And while we have to keep in mind that these are all just the words of a single Twitter user, it's hard not.
I was gonna say, I didn't realize, like, I know some of the Chinese audience, like, hey, we've all been on the internet a while. There's crazies everywhere, but I didn't think like that was really like a thing that people got down with in China, because I just thought you could probably get in some serious trouble for doing that sort of stuff, not claiming to know how China's laws work. But I would think it would be a place you don't play over there sometimes, do you, with certain things? And I would think that would be one of them.
Not to believe these accounts at all when we factor in the ridiculous situations CN gacha gaming communities have gotten themselves into. Things like the Dewey Bunny Girl incident, the Scaramouche Cat incident, or like I mentioned before, the delete all males from Honkai Impact 3 incident.
Oh man.
This absurd behavior was happening prior to Wuwa's release, and if true, likely contributed a huge amount to the female-centric development roadmap at this point in the game. When PGR was a game in direct competition with Honkai Impact 3rd, and Kuro got to see firsthand what happened in that game, it's clear that having more females was a safer way to launch Wuthering Waves. However, with the success of Love in Deep Space and the vocal outcry for more males in the community, this is something we're likely going to see change. There are a lot of factors that have led to the current state of male characters, but they're all related to one-eyed devs implementing what they think players want. However, the audience for Wuthering Waves is much larger and diverse than that of PGR, and it might be time to shift that development accordingly. As always, if you enjoyed this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. Peace out.
Yeah, great video. Again, Saint Tontas making some brilliant points, eloquently put, well-structured video. Really enjoyed this. And yeah, I like these yapping videos sometimes when you're just talking about this stuff. I agree. I would definitely like to see more male characters. Of course, I'm a little bit biased in the fact that I just think that Kuro do amazing character design, full stop. So I think they kill it on both sides, but I'm biased as well in the sense that I like myself some nice waifus, you know? But I think if you have only or too many, it kind of just takes away the speciality of them, doesn't it? It's like I was saying this before, you need more 4 stars. One, you need them anyway for on banners so people can get like copies, and you're not always like chasing that 5-star in the freaking banner and losing out to it, and all, you know what I mean. We all know how that goes, but just it also makes the 5 stars more special. And it's like, that's why I like when we get characters like Jeje and Jinse that beautiful characters, but they're a little bit different to your Changlis and your Yinlings, where they're a little bit more sexy, aren't they? You know what I mean? And it makes that, you know, because if every character at the end of the day is some scantily clad, and I'm not saying they are, because they're not really, they're sexy in a different way, aren't they? They're not like Cat Fantasy where they've literally got underwear skins and stuff like that. But if you have all your characters kind of like that, then none of the characters are like that at the end of the day, because it's nothing special, is it? I think having that variety, at the end of the day, it's the spice of life, isn't it? So, yeah, I think that's a big factor too, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, for me personally anyway, I don't want every character to look like that, because then, you know, if every character's this, like, massive boober character, then have they really got massive boobers in comparison? Not really. They have, but you know what I mean. Anyway, yeah, great video. Saint Tontas, guys, should check him out, show some love. Great videos.